Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here with Raptors Digest, breaking down just a hypothetical and interesting conversation. We're doubling up the videos tonight, getting you guys that content, but we just felt, this is too good of a discussion, I feel, divisive of a topic to not bring up. Obviously, there's been no reports about this. We're saying this from the jump. There's nothing that's come out, no.
Except for every NBA analyst all of last night and today demanding that it happens.
Yes. And Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid essentially throwing this guy under the bus. But you saw it in the thumbnail and the title. Ben Simmons obviously had a horrific series for the Philadelphia 76ers. A horrific playoffs. Shot, I believe it was for eligible players, for players that shot over 70 free throws. The lowest free throw percentage out of any player in NBA history. He didn't...
Playoff history,
yes. And then didn't take a shot in the fourth quarter of any game past game 4 in a second round series against the Atlanta Hawks. Ryker without their two best wing defenders and then without Bogdan Bogdanovic. Just a bad series for Ben Simmons. So I know what it's like. I know the YouTube comment section. I know NBA Twitter, NBA Reddit, what people are thinking. You shouldn't trade a second round pick for Ben Simmons. That's a negative asset. That's a this, that's a that. But Ryker, he's still a 3-time All-Star. He's still only 25 years old. Yes, the work ethic's all in question. There's all this stuff. But I'm throwing out the question. I'm going to break out the trade machine here, Ryker. And we got to ask the question. Would you accept this trade as a Toronto Raptors fan? Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons. Ryker, I think this is probably the best return the Sixers might get if they throw Ben Simmons onto the market right now. I may be wrong. They almost got James Harden last summer for Simmons, it felt like. But I guess we'll talk about the Sixers side, because I think that's less ambiguous as Raptors fans. I think they take this deal.
When you have Magic Johnson get on national television and say Ben Simmons' career is over in Philadelphia, he said his career is done in this city. He has lost the trust of his teammates, the organization, and the fans. And from that, you can never recover. This is one of the most respected people, names, faces, managers, whatever, in the entire NBA. That's tough.
And he plays like Magic. Simmons. He plays like Magic. That's their style. Obviously, not nearly as good.
Just no offense. Yeah. Just no offense, right? But I empathize for Ben Simmons because this isn't coming through one year out the other. He's seeing all these reports. He's hearing some of these things. So I empathize for him. But you'd have to agree that the 76ers, they've had so long to make this work, this pairing of Embiid to Ben Simmons. And unfortunately, they passed on a deal. And it makes sense because regular season, he was averaging something like 15, 16 points per game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. So he was an all-star. He was in the runnings for Defensive Player of the Year. Why would you trade? I mean, hardly trading low on this guy for James Harden, but, he's in the conversation. The dog's going a little bit up top, but here's the thing. You said it. He's basically a negative trade asset right now. So you put his name on the block. What kind of offers are there going to be out there? Fred VanVleet, what a proven champion, pick and roll master, pair him alongside Joel Embiid. He can actually create. He actually loves to shoot. He'll shoot 9 threes a game for you. Plays defense. And Chris Boucher, right? You have an actual true scoring point forward or stretch forward. I don't know what you want to classify him as, but he shot stretch forward as I was power forward and stretch forward. You shoot 38% from 3. Brooklyn Nets want him. He rebounds. He's long. He can block shots. I mean, this improves the team tremendously. The 76ers, all of a sudden, you'd have to think that they're in the odds-on favorite to come out of the East if they trade for these two guys.
Yeah, that's the Sixers side of things, because that's, if we proposed this 3 months ago, Sixers fans would have just been in our comment section, even though we get mostly Raptors fans in here, but they would be calling for our heads. No way, we could have got Harden for Simmons. Why would we settle for Fred VanVleet, this, that, whatever? And apparently, Daryl Morey didn't want to, he said he was okay with not trading for Kyle Lowry. Now, I just made a video last night on Courtside Digest explaining why that was the biggest mistake they ever made, but reports are coming out saying that they were hesitant to trade for Kyle because they thought they could flip Simmons for a Damian Lillard caliber point guard this offseason. Clearly, that's not going to happen. Now I've seen names thrown around surrounding Ben Simmons. No Raptors yet, but CJ McCollum, Stinky Pinky, Kristaps Porzingis, those are the guys that are being talked about right now. Fred VanVleet, I think, is at least in that tier and is on definitely a much more friendly contract, is a much better defender than two of those guys, and has won a lot more than those guys. You're adding in a Chris Boucher. That's a deal the Sixers accept, but Riker, we're 5 minutes in this pod. Probably the people frustrated might have already turned this off and said, what are they talking about? But do the Raptors accept this deal? Because 3 months ago, right? No way. No, or yes, you're taking this deal. Simmons, ridiculous defender, on-ball stuff. An all-NBA caliber guy, right? That really has a lot of room to grow. But now there's questions about his work ethic, his just ability all around. He's being trashed, as you said, by every NBA analyst, everyone that talks about the game. You talk to people today, Riker, maybe in office at work or wherever, and say that don't even watch basketball, like, oh, that guy that dated Kendall Jenner or whoever, he's trash, haha. That's what people are saying. His value is at an all-time low, right? Do we buy the dip on Ben Simmons, give them an offer they can't refuse, and pick him up?
Here's the thing. Worst points per game in his NBA career this season.
Yep.
Worst assists per game in his NBA career. Worst rebounds per game in his NBA career. Still an all-star.
Yep.
Right? Makes it to the playoffs. You can't even play him. You can't even touch the court in the fourth quarter because his confidence is so low. He can't shoot a free throw. He's a liability.
Not taking dunks.
Not even taking dunks, right? So if you're making this trade to bring back in a point guard, no, you don't make this trade. You let this sink in. You bring back Lowry on that $20 million contract he wants. You re-sign Gary Trent Jr. You hope that what he's saying about liking Toronto, wanting to run it back is true. You give him the bag. OG is already a lock. Siakam is already a lock. You expect him to come back towards the beginning, if not shortly into the beginning of next season. Where does Ben Simmons fit in the mix? You take him out of the backcourt, you bring him into the front court at the 5. He's averaging 8 rebounds per game. Defensive Player of the Year candidate, 6'11", 230 pounds. This guy is the size of a modern NBA big, and he's way more mobile. And he spent a career guarding players out at the perimeter. Let that sink in. Now, all of a sudden, this becomes an attractive trade for the Toronto Raptors, Ben.
Yeah, and I feel like we're going to get flamed. I feel, people love Fred. We love Fred as well. Don't take this the wrong way, but Lowry obviously is still at an elite level. We saw it this season. We saw it even in his last game this season as a Raptor. He just dominated when he could. Trent is obviously a shooter. OG is obviously a shooter. Hopefully Siakam with fans can bounce back. Those are Siakam, and people are going to bash on that because he was bad this season for the three-point line. He was a 36% three-point shooter the season prior. So there's still hope. You and I are probably the last two on the Siakam bandwagon right now, and obviously coming back with a Ben Simmons, Siakam frontcourt, Raptors fans might just throw off the TV or something like that. But I really just... running him at the 5, obviously he's a smaller ball center. Even though he's a big dude, right? He can't play. He's not a natural center, but you bring back Khem Birch for those bigger guys. We saw that he's capable there. I've been saying he's more of a backup anyways. And then in the playoffs, we've seen it, Riker. In the playoffs, obviously it doesn't really work throughout an entire season without a center. They're essential for the grit and grind games. Players are getting injured, right? You need your Khem Birches. Maybe even bring back a God forbid Aaron Baines, maybe even bring back him as the insurance pylon just to root it down low. But for the playoffs, having that defensive lineup of Ben Simmons, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent Jr., and Kyle Lowry, that's
it's not ferocious. A defensive lineup that can't create offense for you
at all.
Kyle Lowry himself can create offense for you. Gary Trent Jr., he loves to get creative. Right? You have guys out there who can create, and you're basically saying you're going to run a center lineup. Yes, you have a big who can't, okay, Ben Simmons becomes your big, a big who can't shoot the three. Well, that's the only guy, like you said, that can't shoot the three. But even if you bring him out the perimeter, all of a sudden you have a playmaking center, just like you had with Marc Gasol. And at a much more elite level than Marc Gasol, because Ben Simmons has been averaging 8 to 10 assists per game for his entire NBA career.
Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons in two areas of basketball is transcendent. And it's the reason he's been an all-star, right? Despite all of his flaws. Defense and passing, playmaking. Nick Nurse built his system around a playmaking big man. It's a reason Aaron Baines struggles so much on this team, because he couldn't make those passes that we were so accustomed to seeing our guys make. Ben Simmons will be fully capable of doing that, given the confidence in a Nick Nurse system, right? With a Kyle Lowry, a true point guard leader on his team to put him in the right places, right? We could see an emergence of Ben Simmons coming back in the half court, having him play that Draymond Green role. I know Draymond Green, people were saying that's not even a comparison now, because Draymond Green is at least full of confidence, right? That comes and goes. We've seen Ben Simmons play confident before. Without Joel Embiid, we've seen him go off for 40-point games on given nights. So that's the ceiling for Simmons, is even if he doesn't get a jump shot, he's still that elite scorer, attacker, all these sorts of things. But even if that doesn't come back, he'll be able to pass, swing the ball, give you elite defense like he did in this playoff series. And I don't know, I came into this starting Riker like Fred VanVleet's surely a better player, a better fit, more, he's a Raptor. Fred VanVleet's a GOAT. He looks like Drake, all these sorts of things. But I don't know. These are the risks that you take to build a championship roster.
Let me add one final point for consideration, Ben. Fast breaks. You have Ben Simmons as your center, rebounding and starting the fast break.
And Siakam will run again. He'll run again. OG will run again.
You don't need to have Siakam under the basket trying to rebound. And if you want Ben Simmons to rebound and take the first couple dribbles, he spent his first 4 years as a point guard. If you want him to literally just be an outlet man, he can do that. He's a perfect passer.
I don't know.
Fast breaks.
We've talked about, I think you and I are both on the same side. It's probably unfortunate because I feel like most of the comment section is going to hate this deal, just like they hate Siakam right now and all these things. But I don't know. I think
I got goosebumps thinking about this lineup. I have
and
goosebumps.
Then we draft Cade Cunningham, Riker, and it's all another level. Probably by this is coming out tonight. We'll know tomorrow what will happen in the draft lottery, but then you don't have the worries. Check out our other video as well. We talked about all the draft prospects. All those guys in the top lottery are guards. So, you're bringing in a center in Simmons, right? Obviously, we're playing him at the center. It's a bit smaller ball, but you have Birch to ensure him on that backup. You can draft one of those top guys, take a risk with one of those guards to run them at the point.
It's small ball, but it's a 6'11" guy who was Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So you're not bringing in a scrub, and you're not asking for, 6'8" OG who doesn't play in position to come up and do center for a season, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. And we've said this, but to play devil's advocate, or probably side with most of the comment section, maybe people agree with us. Maybe we've swayed them in the 13-14 minutes we've talked. But obviously, Fred VanVleet is essentially, he's our leading scorer this season. He's an absolute beast. Obviously, struggles finishing around the rim, but still, the shooting, the confidence, right? You're giving up confidence for talent. You're giving up the essentials, the Raptor, the grit, and all that for something that isn't really Raptors culture. Not really confident, not filled with talent. Given the number one pick, doesn't really fit our narrative, but maybe you dip that into him. And then an underrated piece in this deal, Chris Boucher. Right, added to this, a stretch big man, hustler, shot ridiculously well from 3-point land this season. Is that too much to be given up for Ben Simmons? That's at that dip right now. If Ben Simmons is Ethereum, Bitcoin, he's crashing his stocks like all those cryptos right here.
I would, because this is a hypothetical, we can't get into too much, too little, because there's no rumors about it. We're just under the assumption that he is indeed going to be on the trade block, just based on everybody demanding that he does get traded and that his value is going to be low. But if we're thinking it, we're not the only ones thinking it, right? We're very seldom the only people on the internet that are making up trades and saying, hey, this guy still has value. But if everybody's still thinking, let's bring him in as a point guard, this is where the Raptors could sneak in and steal this trade, because I wouldn't make this trade, Fred VanVleet and Boucher. That'd be way too much if you're bringing Ben Simmons back at the 1.
Yeah.
Because he gives you way less than what Fred VanVleet gets you.
Yeah.
He gets you less than what Chris Boucher gets you, because Chris Boucher can give you blocks, and he shoots 38% from 3. But if you're saying, I'm going to change this guy's position and make him a 5, now all of a sudden this becomes a trade that makes sense to me. But you have to really think about it. And that's that's why we have to chat about this one, because it's so interesting.
Yeah. And you do bring up a lot of good points there. Boucher and Fred, they both give you defense and they both give you 3-point shooting. That's the modern NBA style. They're both hustlers, they're grinders, they fit the Raptors culture, and there's risks bringing in Ben Simmons, who obviously might have a bit of an ego. He has a massive contract. He has had some injury history, but obviously Fred has had some injury history himself. But these are the moves, these are the risks you take that win you championships. Sure, they don't always pan out. Sure, there's risk. Just like signing Kawhi, trading for Kawhi Leonard. He left, right? And he left us, holding the bag, even though he gave us a championship, so you can't complain. It worked out fully. We won a championship, but these are the risks that I feel like you just got to take, especially the Raptors in a weird position. They have a lottery pick in a guard-heavy draft. Maybe if you get the 2 pick, there's Mobley, but I don't know. Riker, I feel like we may be flamed. I've said this a few times in the pod, but let us know what you guys think about a Ben Simmons, Fred VanVleet hypothetical. Let us know. Sound off in the comments section. We want to hear your take. Subscribe to the channel if you like the banter. Check out the most recent video that we made, and drop the whole video on Courtside Digest about the Sixers messing up not trading for Kyle Lowry, so check us out over there. But you're the best to make this far. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, all that cool stuff. Riker, do you have any last words?
No, I do not, Ben. This video, we'll let it speak for itself. Cheers.